Welcome to VoiceBootcamp, a global name in unified communication. Hello, my name is Faisal Khan, CEO and founder of VoiceBootcamp.com. In this video of Do-It-Yourself Study Kit for Cisco PCCE deployment, I'm going to discuss about how to verify the services that are configured by the initialization wizard. Obviously, in the previous lab, you have seen how to deploy UCCE component as a package UCCE solution, but we need to make sure we verify the right component and that they are working. So what we're going to do here, we're going to verify the configurations, we're going to check the services, we're going to check the framework diagnostic to ensure that all the services that are active, supposed to be active, are actually active. Now, going back to our administration, our vCenter, you will see that here we have our AW, Rugger, PG, all configured. So I'm going to start with AW first, where we actually did run the UCCE, was our package UCCE initialization wizard, and we want to make sure the AW services are all working. So when you log into the server on your desktop, you'll see there's a service applet right there, and in the service applet you will see the ICM distributor. That should be the only service in this particular server. This is your admin server. This is where you make all the necessary changes to your configuration to the system. Now on your when you run the wizard, you automatically set up a web setup, which is something that we manually do if you are deploying like a large scale UCC solution. So I'm going to go to the web setup to make sure the web setup is currently configured properly. Now when you log in, one of the first thing that we supposed to do for the full deployment, that would be check the instance, and you'll see that there's an instance already assigned to it. It's called the Toronto Tor under Voice Bootcamp facility. Then under component management, you should see the administration, and that is the only server that you should see, or only component that you should see on this particular server. If for some reason somebody has added another admin server or on the different instance or a logger or a router, then you have some sort of problem. If you need to rerun the administration server for whatever reasons, you want to double click on that, and then you will continue. So let's say you decided that you want to go from small to large. You can change that options if you need to. And if you go to large, what will happen is you might be given some other options that otherwise would not be available. For example, here I have decided to enable HDS only or DDS. Right now it is only the administration and real-time server. So if I go back and I kept it as small to medium, you will see that it is automatically selected as all three roles. So that is the current system, the way it is set up. I won't touch that stage, but like I said, show you an example. Then it tells you the AW host name. This is your site server name. You got both primary and secondary. Unfortunately, right now we do not have site B, so therefore we are only using the same name for both. This is your pair name, and it is selected for Internet Script Editor. If you want to be able to download the Internet Script Editors, for example, if I copy this URL and I say, you know what, I want to download this URL. So what I want to do first is change that. Oh, that's not that. So let's say you want to change that to IP address, and then you want to go web browser and then click on that, and it allows you to download the script editors on your laptop so that you can write the script remotely by connecting to the server. Now if you try to go to this URL and you see a host not found or some sort of 404 error, that is most likely because this is not checked. See, unless you check this, you will not be able to download the Internet Script Editor because it does not activate the web service that it needs for you to download that. So you got to make sure that that service is activated. If you are going to configure later for configuration management service CMS node, which is not the CMS like Cisco meeting server. This is a CMS node for using contact management portal. Then you need to come and customize this as you need them basis. Click next. If you need to change the host name or IP address, this is where you would do. Here asking you the IP address of your router or host name. Usually we either use IP address or host name depending on your environment. This is now also keep in mind one of the reasons why we use a host name here, because all our components are in the same subnet. If for some reason, if you happen to have that admin server in one subnet, router happens to be a different subnet for whatever reason, then relying on a host name can become a problematic if the DNS is not configured properly. So you gotta pay attention to that details as you need them. Of course, like I said, in your production, you're going to deploy a 2000 environment rather than lab only. So this is where you would select start and stop the services, and if you want to modify or recreate the service account. So again, these are the steps that you need to follow for some reason if you need to modify the admin server. But at this stage, I'm not going to modify. Now, what I want to show you though, as you can see, the service is still running, and you will see another folder called administration tools. In the administration tools is where you will find configuration manager, localizing the database, log admin, script editors, the log viewers. Now, if this server happens to have multiple instances, okay, for whatever reason, if you have multiple instances, then you need to use the select administration instance to be able to modify or administer the right server. If you do not do that, then you may end up modifying a wrong server. So you got to be extremely careful. This is something that you want to pay attention to if you are having multiple call center instance on a single server for whatever reason. So as you can see, I'm using there's only one instance right now, so I don't have to worry about that. The script editors allows you to develop the scripts, check route to check some of the routes, and then CCE web administration for your day-to-day administration. Now, if I open my configuration manager, you will notice that I only have very limited option here. Unlike the full version, I don't have many of the options that otherwise full version usually supposed to have. Here I can configure an agent target rule, which is configured, as you can see. An agent target rule basically covers everything, as you can see, which is wildcard. All these routing clients are automatically added, so that you don't face any sort of problem. Idea about package UCC solution was that it can be administered by someone with a very little to intermediate level knowledges. Okay, so this is my configuration management, where most of the configuration will be done by the CCE web admin. So I will log in to the CCE web admin. And in the CCE web admin is where you will see all the administration tasks. Now, in the subsequent chapters, I'm going to show you how to configure them for your deployment need. It's telling you what version of the UCCE you're running, your capacity information. Of course, if you are running the full version or the production version, you will have a lot more information. It tells you the exact number of administrators that are allowed at most, how many are actually there, agent, bulk, call type, 4,000 call type allowed, but currently one configured. If you want to find out how many dial numbers are configured, so this is limitation of so there's 12,000 agent limitation. If you can use 1,000 reason code, 30 roles, up to 4,000 skills group. Like I said, this system is way more than enough for most companies for to use as a call center. All right, as you can see, if you click on here, it will say jump to that particular configuration tool. If you want to click on desk settings, it will go to the desk settings to administration. so I can go directly into that settings. All right, so that's most of the day-to-day administration. And then of course you have under PCCE Tools, which is right here. Under PCCE Tools you have a bunch of additional tools. For example, if for some reason you need to manage your database, you want to go to the ICM DBA. You may get a warning ICM DBA due to computer browser being disabled. If you do not want that warning, to make sure that the computer browser is enabled in your Windows services. Okay, so this is your database that system has created. As you can see, there's two databases created. One is called the AWDB, that is your administration database and real time, and you got the historical database right here. And if you want to for some reason delete or estimate or expand the database, you could do that by going to database. You can say expand. It may not, gives you some warning, ask you to stop the services. I would not do that in a production, of course. You can recreate it, which will delete and all the existing data. And then of course you have the ultimate options to delete them. Now if you want to find out how big the database you need, you can define how many agents. Let's say 500 agent. You want application gateway, 15 call type. I want to have, I don't know, 20 skills per agent, maybe 100 queues. Okay, how many calls records per day, all the details you can do, and it can probably give you an estimate idea. Let's say as you can see, if I increase the value here, see if whatever the number I increase, look at the size of the database required. It increases itself. And you can of course change the version to see what version the database is designed for, or the size. So again, if I remove the event log, and you'll see that these values start to decrease. So use this as kind of a sizing capability. Of course you can always add more space than you need. Now you got the server, view, data. These are pretty much standard tool. If you want to add, let's say, the site B server into that, you can add a server and put the site B address, and it will add you can manage both server from the same interface. Alright, so performance monitor is for troubleshooting and monitoring your environment. If you want to for some reason monitor your performances, you could use this performance monitor to look at the health of your call center. Now again, we will cover this more details into our troubleshooting video. Now if you need to recreate or regenerate your SSL encryption, you want to use the SSL Encryption Utility. So this is where it allows you to say choose the instance and then say, you know what, disable the 128-bit encryption and then re-enable it. You can go to certificate administration, remove the existing certificate and reinstall it. This is a thumbprint. I would not touch this right now, but something that you have options to do. Security wizard, if you want to run a wizard that kind of like enables Windows firewall to allow all the necessary port, you can click here. It will customize your Windows firewall. You can restore the default. You can disable Windows firewall. I would probably go with that option for now. You can edit the XML file in a notepad, which basically asking you what should be enabled, what port should be allowed, or whatnot. So you can manually also modify this file if you need to. Okay, so I would recommend disable firewall for the lab purposes. For production, of course, you need to understand your environment and enable the port or that are necessary. Okay, here you will see that my Windows firewall for this particular server should be disabled. If not, you should manually disable it yourself. Again, for lab only purposes. For production, I would definitely not recommend you to disable the firewall unless you're instructed to do so by Cisco tech engineers. Okay, as you can see, the firewalls are off for both public as well as domain. All right, now as far as the security is concerned, you can also use the network isolations to secure the network side of it. So let me cancel this. This wizard basically configured the IPsec policy on this device. So if you can provide more trusted and boundary devices, stuff like that. If you need to secure the SQL server, which let's say you forgot to do that during the installation, you can use this wizard to secure and harden in your SQL server so that certain vulnerability are closed, because sometimes you may not have follow the exact step from a security perspective when you install this Microsoft SQL Server on this particular platform. So you can use this utility to do that. Alright, so those are some of the tools we have for now. The one that I want to show you is called the Diagnostic Framework Portico. Now what I want to do here is log in to the Portico, and when I log in to Portico, it's going to be pod 8 / administrator password VoiceBootcamp, and this should give me access to the web interface that allows me to troubleshoot the environment. Now I find this to be very useful and powerful when you need to. Now for example, what I want to do is start with is list processes. In a list processes, it'll tell me what are the services that are running on this particular server. As you can see, it is running the diagnostic framework, which is must, and then it is running the administration and data server. So this, all the services that are running will be listed here. Now some of them will show you, of course they all will show you different things, so you need to understand what to expect from each particular services. Alright, now what I want to do is that I want to go to the list trace file. This is where you will learn how to collect traces. Now again, we will go through more details about each one of these in our troubleshooting video. So here you can find out what to trace. So let's say I wanted to collect information about route distributor. So this is the RTD. I will select that option. I can change my time when I want to collect the details, and then click open. It should be able to open on your notepad. Okay, so I will go ahead and open that in my notepad, and you will see a bunch of data right there. Now of course there is not enough information right now as there is nothing going on into the system. So let's try RTC. Okay, nothing much on RTC either. So now I'm going to try is let's try CLRG. Okay, so let's do one thing. I'm going to change the time hour. So let's put it from the date 9, because today is the 10th. I installed this server yesterday and it may not have much details. Okay, so at least I have something here. Okay, there is something in here. Alrighty. So I will, like I say, we will cover more details about this later. You have some network related tools right here called get ping, get IP config. So let's say you want to get IP config and you want to submit. It will get you the IP config of this particular system if you want to find out. Let's see in the argument, if you type P8 Roger, let's say P8 PG. I think that's what it is. Let me do a quick ping. So it's Roger A. So let's try that. Okay, so it may not be able to detect it. So you can put an argument right here, says all. /all, sorry. Okay, so it might gives you a lot of details about if you turn on the all features. Now if you need why would you want to do this is probably because maybe you want to run a certain commands remotely. Maybe you want to use this to do that. Net state, if you want to collect something about the net state command, it will be able to execute it, run it, and then you can save it as kind of like a document without giving someone access to the platform. There you go. Okay, so that's it about the admin server. I want to log in to the PG. This is where most of the information that we need to find out if the PG is communicating with the peripheral. So as you can see, I have following PG services running: PG1, PG2, PG3, and CG1A. Now if I will go to the same place, now with the PG, again the same thing, you gotta run the web setup for instance, but the PG has its own peripheral gateway setup. Now before I log into that, what I want to do is go to the framework. And if I list the processes, you should see all my PGs are installed. As you can see, gateway 1A is connected to the CM, that is my call manager. Both my JTAPI and CM are active node. Thus that means that communicating with the call manager is perfectly fine. PG3A, which happens to be my CVP, and as you can see, the CVP is also active. Now I can also find out if CVP is active or not by logging into the CVP server. 5293 OMP. So I can go to the system menu, control center. You will see that your call server right there should be up. If the call server happens to be up, that means that this should also be active. If for some reason, if this is active and the call not active, then in the CVP you should see the call server either down or kind of like a warm I think it's a warning status, something like that. But that's an indication. Now whereas a media server, that means that there is no registration being exchanged between the CVP and the media server itself, but it can communicate with each other via the IP. So CVP's indication that it is VRU part is also communicating successfully with the CVP server and ICM. And then of course you have CTI server. This is where your FINAS server is pointing to. Again, FINAS, if I go to 142.61.60, and if I click continue, if everything is working properly, what you're supposed to see is this: username, password, and extension. If you see this, that means your FINAS is successfully communicating with your PG and your central controller. So therefore it is communicating properly. Now it does not of course mean that it's going to let you log in, because there could be other issues. But if for some reason FINAS is not communicating with the CTI server or PG or central controller via the CTI server, you should see an error message here saying out of service. So out of service is an indication that the FINAS was not successfully communicating with the peripheral. So this is an indication. Now if you want to find that out, then of course you can use a trace file right there, and you can go to the CTI server trace. So I'm going to choose 9 so I can get as much as details possible, and then let's activate to see open the file to see what information I get to see. Now I use this particular file a lot for troubleshooting, especially when I am teaching my classes around the world. We always face problems, so we always use this to learn how to troubleshoot. Hey, if you do not face problem in training, you're never gonna learn. Never is too much of a stretch, but you got the point. Okay, so here you see a lot of information. Of course, at the beginning it might be a little bit overwhelming for some of you guys. What is very important for you to understand is this. See the PG status, it must be normal in order for the FINAS to be successfully connect. The PG status has to be normal. So that is one of the things that I always look at. Of course, if for some reason it is not normal, or if it is normal, then I will continue to read through my logs and see where there may be some problem. And as you can see right now, because there is no problem, so the information remains the same throughout the whole session. Okay, so it'll tell you how many active, how many client connections, how many calls are in a queue, and so on. So progress, for example. Alright, so that is a way to troubleshoot. Like I said, we will learn more details about the framework in our troubleshooting video, which is of course separate video self-study kit. Now here, let's say down the road you make changes to your call manager, or you make changes to your CVP, and you need to make changes here. Well, you could literally go to the gateway setup, all this thing that we actually do in step by step, we could do it right here also through the web interface. So let's say you want to change something, you go to edit, it's going to ask you to shut it down, blah blah blah, duplex, side A, side B, call manager, and you are basically going to stop the services to be able to modify the settings. Oops, got logged out. Let me log back in. Oops, come on. Okay, so if you do need to change certain things related to the PG, for example, I don't know, you may have accidentally deleted the logical controller ID. You may have changed the JTAPI password, or changed the IP address of the call manager because the publisher is down, or the particular that you're using is down. Then you would need to come here and make that changes. If you do want to change a different PG username for whatever reason, this is where you want to change that. Or if you need to add a second call manager, you can simply go ahead and add another PIM pointing to a different call manager. So again, you need to know your environment. Even though PCCE is good for deployment and everything, all good, but you need to know where to go and find information. That is most important thing. All right, so that's the PG stuff, and so yeah, so that's pretty much how you learn to troubleshoot, manage, and verify the configuration. I will go ahead and start the service again, and I want to verify to make sure my call manager is active. Oh, my apology. I thought I was logging into call manager. Okay, so pod 8 administrator, password voicebootcamp.com, and I want to go to the list process, and I want to see the call manager, which is it's still showing down. So you gotta make sure that your call manager does become active. So now, right now, in a different stage. And there you go. You can see now it's active. Alright, so that's it for this video. I hope you find it to be useful. I will subsequent video will be recording on day-to-day administration of PCC.